It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Forum on Eagle Television. I'm Gary Shorman. Thanks for watching. Our forum is brought to you by Hayes Med. We have a guest today from the 20th Judicial Citizens Review Board, and her name is Rene Myers. And Rene, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
It's kind of exciting. I looked down through the list of things that the Judicial District Citizens Review Board does, and it's really surprising. So I know those watching along out there would be interested to see what takes place kind of behind the scenes. Before we go there, though, you have a real job that's NCK Tech. Tell us about your job at NCK Tech.
I do have a real job. I'm the department chair for the general education program, and I teach the social sciences, so I get a whole variety of subjects to teach. But another role that has recently started is we're now full-time advisors, so not only do I get to know the students that I teach, I get to know like a third of the students that don't even take psychology or any of my classes. So we get to the goal is to help them be more productive.
What's exciting, NCK Tech does so many great things out there, and being a part of that program of getting kids. Now, some of those kids will stay at NCK Tech and get their degree. Others will move on to Fort Hays, correct?
Correct. And there's alliances with other colleges also. We're working now with an alliance with a branch of K-State, Pitt State, so the possibilities are endless.
Oh, very cool. Thanks for that part. You take on another duty, and that is with the Judicial District Citizen Review Board.
Yes.
What got you started in that?
I have been in the court system, the child welfare system for over 20 years, and actually prior to even me being in NCK Tech. And when the position came available that I could direct a court program and have an influence on the children that are removed from the home, that just need that extra support, it seemed like a great fix. So I've been here for over 20 years with the Citizen Review Board, part-time now, but I used to cover the 23rd Judicial District, the 20th Judicial District, the 24th Judicial District. So the Citizen Review Board is throughout Kansas. And once I started and I was able to work with volunteers, my staff is volunteers, and we saw the work we do, the benefit that we do, the helping the kids in the court system make it through high school, reunified at home, maybe a home that is a better fit for them. It is rewarding.
You know, until you're in that spot, you really don't realize how tough some kids have it.
Yeah.
What got you started there?
This is how I started. I worked for the Children's Center. Actually, it was a internship at the Children's Center. And I assumed it was with kids that were struggling, and it wasn't. There was a mixture of kids that were struggling and kids that were whatever you call normal. I didn't enjoy working with the normal kids. I enjoyed working with the kids that had behavioral problems, that had hearing problems, and I knew from there that's what I wanted to do. So at the age of 23, from that moment on, that's what I've been doing.
Well, it takes a special person that wants to do that.
Yeah.
When you got into the court system, if you've ever had to deal, even simple issues in the court system can be challenging for, whatever a normal person is, but you get kids and they can get lost in that whole process. How do you keep the system moving that helps in their behalf?
Well, that's maybe a highlight of the Citizen Review Board. One of our jobs is to help them not get lost in the system.
Because you're not an attorney.
I am not an attorney.
So how does that fit in with the court system?
The state of Kansas has developed a Kansas statute that allows volunteers to basically maybe help the judge is a better way of saying it, but instead of the judge conducting the review hearings, myself and my volunteers conduct these review hearings. So instead of these children entering these courthouses, these courtrooms with the attorneys, the judge, and all the scary big people, not that I meant that, but attorneys in suits and all that.
It
can be scary, yes. They come to a more relaxed environment where they get to share what's going on. They get to identify what their struggles are. Their teachers, their counselors, their family, their foster workers all get to be a part of it. And I know I'm leaving a lot of workers and helpers out of this, but they get to be a part of it and they get to identify what's working, what's not working. this is about them instead of the attorneys, the judges, the workers handling most of the hearing. They get to handle the hearing.
Now, do these kids find you, or do you find the kids?
The kids find themselves in the court system because of a runaway, truancy, abuse, neglect, and Judge Clark in Russell County, I like to say, enjoys giving us these hearings, but I think he sees the benefit in what the volunteers do. So he hands us many of these hearings that he believes are appropriate for us to review, and that's how they come to us. But they have to be in the court system.
Now, what do you have to do to participate here? Because I understand it's quite an intensive process to figure out who can actually be on this board.
Yes.
What do you have to do?
It is very similar to the background checks of Big Brother, Big Sister, CASA. Those are some programs that the community is more familiar with. The Citizen Review Board, we have the background checks, the NCI checks. You have extensive training. We do fingerprint checks constantly. You have to have a love for wanting to help children. We look for a mixture of individuals that have varied backgrounds so they can add to maybe the overall success of this program and helping that child.
So if somebody wants to sign up and do this to be able to help kids, not only one, you have to love doing that because it's a volunteer effort to do, but secondly, they need the right people, and that's why all the background checks. When you talk about a KBI background check and all that stuff, they want to make sure the right people are there.
Indeed, and unlike CASA and unlike Big Brothers, who needs several volunteers, we only have, example, 6 volunteers at one time. So sometimes we have many who want to join and we just don't have the positions available. And then at times we're low, and I've never had problems getting Citizen Review Board volunteers. When they find out what the purpose of this position is, they find out who's on the board, they find out what their roles are, I don't have problems. And they stay. I've got volunteers who have been on the board for over 20 years.
That's what I understand. We have Rich Seeker, who works for us here at Eagle, has been a part of that program for several years, he says. We couldn't get him to tell how many exactly, but he's been a part of the program for several years. When you find somebody like that, what do they need to know to be able to work with the kids?
Well, I don't know if the need to know, I can pinpoint that, but we look for the individuals that already have that interest. They've showed it in the community. They've demonstrated it in maybe their line of work. Kind of do a feeler on what their knowledge is already. And then the interview takes place. You identify who would be a good fit, who wouldn't be a good fit. So it's more than just the background check.
Does a legal background help, or is it really that's not the?
We don't necessarily want the legal background. We've had retired attorneys, or we've had attorneys that are no longer working in the system. We've had former social workers, but we want it to be a fresh perspective. We want community members that have very little knowledge of the court system to give their input, because as in any position, you do the same job over and over and over. You might, you have a good grasp of what the job is, but you might miss maybe what might work better, maybe a new perspective, a fresh idea, and that's what we're looking for.
Now, you mentioned a couple of things like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, CASA. How do you guys work together? Do you team up on some things? Are you competitive in this? How do the different groups work?
Never competitive. We all work together. Citizen Review Board and CASA are funded through the same program. Now, I say funded loosely because the state of Kansas does not offer that much funding. CASA gets to fundraise to help their program. Our program needs very little funding, and just enough to have a room, just enough to have enough for training, enough for supplies. That's what we have. To go back to your original question, though, do we help each other? One of the goals of the Citizen Review Board is to work with agencies, not against them, to work with them. So if St. Francis, if DCF, if CASA are involved, if Project Stay out of Russell is involved, the schools are involved, we want to work with each other to see what would work best for every single child. So we'll encourage, we'll identify, maybe try this approach, we'll listen to what they have to say, what's working or not working. We work together.
You know, one of the things, Renee, that you see is every once in a while, too often, you see these kids that are either run away or they disappear and you're trying to find them. But sometimes until it hits closer to home, you don't realize the numbers. What do you see in numbers of kids? If you look at a year, what will you guys be working with in any particular year or month? I'm not sure how you measure that number,
Sure.
but what do you see out there?
Each program is set up differently. Each program in the state of Kansas is unique. Let's say, like Salina has a truancy board. They see all the truancy kids in Salina. Our board, because we're in a small community, on average we'll see about 2 cases a month. We only meet once a month. Cases have gone down in Russell, as in some districts have, but it appears to be enough to keep us busy. And I want to say it's because the judge and the attorneys find value in the community members knowing what's going on, having a stake in helping the children in their community. So I don't want to sound boastful, but I find us to be needed, and I see the community and the judicial system as being open-minded to us.
Well, I know there's a certain amount of time everybody has to do this, and to be able to take time with kids to help them find a better place in what can be a complicated system is really important. Renee, stick with us. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back. Our guest is Renee Myers, and we're talking about the Citizens Review Board and how it helps kids in our community. Back with more after this.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Hi everyone, this is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours, Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes, and play back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HayesPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum here on Eagle Television. Great to have you watching along. If you have ideas, suggestions, future programs, future people you'd like to see me talk to, interview, let me know. My address is gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. You can also find us over at our Eagle corporate office at 785-625-4000. Our guest is Renee Myers, and we've been talking about the Citizen Review Board. It's part of the 20th Judicial District. How big is that district? Where all can you go and help kids?
We currently are only in Russell County right now. The 20th makes up Great Bend, Lyons, Rice, Ellsworth, but currently we are only in Russell. Right now there's a limited amount of funding, so we the opportunity to open new funding for new counties is limited right now.
Well, let's talk about some of those things that you may have seen individually, where I don't know what you can talk about, but what kind of experiences have you run into, kind of in a generic way of explaining it?
Okay.
That people would understand as they're watching.
Well, I have a particular young man that you just never forget. Are you wanting me to share? Okay. He came to us when he was maybe about 11, 12 years of age, and when they turn 18, they're finished in the court system.
So they can only be up to 18 to be in the program.
Up to 18, yes. Okay. And a child in need of care case only goes up to 18, and those are the cases that we work with. Okay. But he started with us, he was about 11, 12 years of age, and he was, to put it politely, he was a maniac. He was just unsettled, unruly. He just had very little stability. And his mother was providing very little, and his father was not in the picture. So he was placed in a foster home for a few years, and hands down one of the best foster homes that I've ever encountered, a local foster home, but very wonderful and patient with him. Well, he's with them for several years, and then he turns about 16, and he wants to go find his mom. And he takes off, and now he's a runaway on top of everything. He was gone for 3 days, and he found his mom in Colorado, came back and realized people care about me here. The Citizen Review Board is looking after me. My foster parents love me. He went away to the Army just as an added to show him we cared about him, we care about him. We put together a care package, sent it to him. And I see his foster family every now and then, and he still considers them his parents. He's probably close to 28 now. And it's just one of those stories, this is why we do this. This young man that had no direction, very little, and now he's a father, he's a productive member of society, he's got a family that isn't his birth family, but it's his family, and I'd like to believe we were a part of that.
Boy, isn't that special? And you know what is, and one of the things when we do interviews like this, you find people that make a difference in our part of the world, and Rene, you're doing that. Thank you for doing that. If somebody out there is watching along and says, I'd like to inquire more, where do they go to find out more about the Citizens Review Board?
Well, there are only about 8 or 9 programs in the state of Kansas, and these are federally, it's a mandated program that each state has some type of review process. And there are about 8 or 9 programs. So if you know it is in your district, you might visit the courthouse. In each courthouse there is like a judicial center, and you can inquire if there's openings, but oftentimes, for me, I have no openings. I haven't had a new volunteer for about 3 years now, and and my longest one is over 20, and they do their job well.
Well, it's a great opportunity to help with kids and to help grow the communities. And so thank you for what you do, and thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for watching our program. Our guest has been Rene Myers, part of the 20th Judicial District Citizens Review Board. Thanks for watching. Our program is brought to you by Hayes Med and by Eagle Communications, our community connected.